All right, let's talk about something really cool. We're getting a super rare glimpse into one of the military's most secretive projects. We're talking about the US Navy's next-generation fighter jet. For years, this thing has been pure speculation, just whispers and rumors. But now, a recent, totally unexpected image has just given us our first real look. So the big question is, what is this thing? I mean, what's it going to do? And why does it look like it flew right out of a sci-fi movie? Well, that's what we're here to do today. We're going to play detective, use the clues we've been given, and try to piece together the story of this mysterious jet, the F/XX. Okay, let's get right into it. The story here kicks off not with some big official announcement, but with a single, really mysterious picture. So, out of nowhere, Northrop Grumman, one of the huge companies competing to build this new jet, just quietly dropped this piece of concept art on their website. And just like that, we get our very first look at what could replace the legendary FAA-18 Super Hornet. And here's the wild part. They posted it with zero explanation. Nothing. No press release, no comment. Which, forces us to put on our detective hats and analyze every single line, every curve, to figure out what the future of naval aviation is actually going to look like. But before we start breaking down the design, we really have to understand why the Navy even thinks it needs this plane. I mean, why not just use the Air Force's new fighter? Well, the answer comes down to the fact that they have two totally different jobs to do. Yeah, it really boils down to the mission. You see, the Air Force's new jet, the NGAD, is designed for one thing: pure air-to-air combat, dominating the skies. The Navy, though, they need a jack of all trades, a workhorse that can launch off a tiny moving runway, an aircraft carrier, fly these incredibly long distances over the massive Pacific Ocean, strike ships or targets on the ground, and still make it all the way back. Those are just fundamentally different problems that need completely different designs. But here's the catch. Pushing for your own unique plane comes with a huge challenge: money. We're in an age of kite budgets, and let's be honest, a growing reliance on drones. So you've got Congress asking a really tough question. Does America really need to fund two separate, unbelievably expensive next-gen fighter programs? And that question puts the FAA-X in a really tough spot every single time budget talks come up. All right, now for the really fun part. Let's get those detective hats back on and take a close look at the concept image itself. What secrets is this thing hiding in plain sight? So what are we actually seeing here? First off, just look at that shape. Those sharp, blended lines. It's got major YF-23 vibes, if you remember that legendary prototype. That plane was built for one thing: extreme stealth. So right away, that tells us this design is all about evading the most advanced enemy radars. Now look closer. See how the air intake is on top of the plane? That's a super clever trick. It hides the shiny, reflective fan blades of the engine from any radar systems looking up from the ground or the sea. The whole thing also looks, well, big. That bulkiness suggests a huge internal space, which means two critical things: a ton of fuel for those long-range Pacific missions we talked about, and a massive internal bay to carry a serious amount of weapons without ruining its stealth. And finally, check out that landing gear. See the heavy-duty twin-wheel setup? That, my friends, is the smoking gun. That's a clear sign this jet is built to withstand the brutal, controlled crash that is landing on an aircraft carrier. Okay, so we've picked apart the design, but what does it all add up to? Let's talk about the ambitious goals for this plane and the massive hurdles it still has to clear to become a reality. One of the absolute biggest goals here is range. The Navy wants the FA-XX to fly a full 25% farther than the current F-35C. We're talking a combat radius of over 960 miles. That is a game changer for operating in a theater as vast as the Pacific, because it means you're not totally tethered to tanker aircraft. But here's the thing. This isn't just about a better jet. It's about a completely new way of fighting a war. The pilot in the FA-XX, they're not going to be flying alone. No, they'll be more like a quarterback, leading a whole team of autonomous drones. It's a concept called manned-unmanned teaming. These drone wingmen have a name: Collaborative Combat Aircraft, or CCAs for short. The easiest way to think about them is as loyal wingmen. These are autonomous drones that can scout ahead, carry extra missiles, or even jam enemy radar, all while supporting the main fighter and, most importantly, keeping the human pilot safer. This is a huge, huge leap forward in aerial combat strategy. So where do we go from here? Well, the whole program is facing a do-or-die moment in 2028. That's the deadline for a big decision on whether to go all in and fully fund it. If it gets the green light, the Navy's hoping to start swapping out its aging Super Hornets sometime in the 2030s. But, you heard me, that's a pretty big if. And that really brings us to the final critical question. We have this incredible vision, right? A next-generation, carrier-based stealth fighter leading a team of robotic wingmen. But will it actually survive the brutal budget battles and the political dogfights to take to the skies? Or is it destined to become one of history's most fascinating what-ifs, a ghost that only ever flew on the digital battlefield? For now, only time will tell.